Welcome to Choosing Acceptance Podcast with your host, Marie Mason. I am here to share some success stories and tips on how to overcome your learning disability so that you can turn your talents into a career. And I love to inspire children and parents and teachers with learning disabilities to go beyond their limits so that they can make a bigger impact in the world. Schedule a call to become a guest on our show at calendly.com/Marie V. Mason. And welcome everybody to the Choosing Acceptance Podcast. I am your host, Marie Mason, and I am super excited to have a guest with you. We'll share his name shortly. But our podcast, we aim to empower adults with learning difficulties or disabilities to reach their full potential and succeed in their careers. Our goal is to provide guidance on how to overcome learning difficulties and turn your talents into a career. And we provide the resources and support to talent development, self-acceptance, and personal growth. And I'm super excited, like I said earlier, that you get to hear from our guest today. His name is John Hewitt. Did I say that pronunciation correct, John? I'm sorry. Can you help me pronounce that correctly?
Hewitt.
So I wasn't too far off. Okay, good. Thank you. And then his topic today is, are you ready to be self-employed? So you don't have to hear me the whole time. But before I begin and introduce our guest today, here is our top tips of the week. Are you a new freelancer or a coach with a learning difficulty or disability and are struggling to start your online business? You're not alone. Many people who get started in business face significant challenges, especially those who have learning difficulties, including things like the fear of failure, self-doubt, and lack of knowledge on the entrepreneur's part. And then also there's things like financial risks, because you do have to make investments when you're in business for tools and software, even if you're online. And then there's also limited access to support and resources. There's quite a lot of free resources more now than when I got started, but there's still some that you have to pay for. So there's so many obstacles. It can feel kind of overwhelming and maybe even hinder your progress in trying to get started. And it may be that you can make it difficult to achieve your business goals. Well, the fear of failure and self-doubt can be feeling like it's paralyzing, while the lack of knowledge and resources can leave you feeling kind of lost and unsupported. But don't worry, there's hope. We have some tailored coaching and mentorships and support that are essential for overcoming these challenges, both on this podcast and in my business strategy coach. And a lot of my guests provide a lot of additional support as well. With the right guidance and resources, you can build the confidence and skills needed to succeed in your business. And do not let these obstacles hold you back. Seek out the support you need to thrive. And I really encourage you, there's so many good support systems out there with coaches and courses. Just find the one that works best for you. And now, before I bring up our guest speaker today, here's a word from one of our sponsors, and we'll be right back after this commercial break. I'm Marie Mason. I am a business strategy coach. I run a mastermind group for online business owners where our members get to network, collaborate, and learn from one another in an exclusive environment. Our business academy takes a modern approach to business solutions by incorporating the latest technology and strategies to ensure that you hire a qualified team to handle your workflows. Welcome back to the Choosing Acceptance Podcast with your host, Marie Mason. I am super excited to share with you today's guest, which is the CEO of Loyalty Brands, Inc. His name is John T. Hewitt. Hope I got that pronounced correctly. I always self-doubt myself on that one. so I apologize. But he leverages his 55 years of experience and expertise in franchising, business management, strategy, and new venture development. He is the founder of 3 successful companies that have collectively opened over 10,000 franchisees in the tax preparation and business service industries all across the US and Canada. And today's topic is, are you ready to be self-employed? Oh my gosh, welcome, John. I'm so glad you're here today. So they don't have to listen to me all the time.
Thank you, Marie. It's my pleasure.
I'm really grateful that you have this topic today because you have such a wide experience in hiring people, I'm sure, in putting people in business and setting them up for success. So your knowledge today is going to be crucial for this audience today. So my quick question for you is, how do you know when you're ready to be self-employed? Since that's the main topic, why don't we just start with that one and roll with the rest? So,
That's such a broad and difficult question. I'm going to give you some insight.
okay.
But boy, is that tough for most people, because in our country today, over 70% of people want to be self-employed. But I brought in over 5,200 in my career, and many of the people that think they want to be self-employed aren't good at it, and they fail for no other reason that they're just not they don't have the skill set to be self-employed. So I'll tell you, one of the biggest failures for people is lack of delegation. If you can't delegate and you become self-employed, you're just buying yourself a job. You're not a real entrepreneur if you can't have employees and leverage off of other employees. You're just not going to go anywhere. So the first thing is that you have to have is delegation skills. Secondly, many people, I happen to be a premier risk taker. I in business, and I'm just always out on a limb or on a ledge and taking chances. But most of us are conservative, and they are reluctant to give up the security of a job and with a pension or health insurance and all the benefits, and they don't have to go out looking for the money to pay the bills. And so you have to be a good delegator, and you have to have risk tolerance. Also, you have to be a self-starter. When you're self-employed, there's no one telling you got to be there at 8 a.m. or you got to stay till 6 p.m. or there's no one making the rules except yourself. And the 10 most important 2-letter words, Marie, are: if it is to be, it is up to me.
Yep.
If it is to be, it is up to me. And that's what happens when you're an entrepreneur. You look around and you say, well, who can I get to do something? Well, at the start, it's just you. And most executives that have worked for other people, they have a team. They have an admin or they have support staff, and say, could you go make the coffee? Could you clean the bathroom? Could you send an email and ask for an appointment? They have a team. Well, when you set out on your own, you have to do a lot of things yourself. So those are the key things. And then even if you decide, okay, I can do all those, I can delegate, I can take a risk, I'm self-starting. Well, now you have to decide what industry to be in. Should I be in food? Should I be in service? What type of industry am I looking for? And so after you decide that you have the persona, you look for the right industry, and then finally it has to be the right time, right? You can't be 6 months pregnant or going through chemotherapy or taking care of an aging parent or taking care of a spouse or a child. It has to be the right time so that everything, the stars have to align, right? You just not only have to have the skill set, but you have to know what industry and you have to know the right time in your life to do it.
It's definitely harder to start something when you're going through difficult situations in your life, but it's not impossible. Actually, I started my first online business. It was a digital marketing agency, and I started that with a broken wrist. So sometimes it doesn't matter about the timing so much as, are you determined? Are you really focused on making improvements in somebody else's lives or business and stuff like that? Are you ready to sit there and roll your sleeves and take action and take leadership and take ownership? Because those are also other valuable tips. But yes, yours are exactly what you shared was exactly spot on as well. So, um, so I guess my next question is, um, one of the things I've always taught my students to do is research their target market and find out what products and services that are viable for a customer base, because you do have to know what your competition is. So my question is really more based on, what would you recommend people to do as far as how do you research your target market to make sure it is there a place that you like to go to research? Or for example, I mean, are there things that you look for? I mean, can you give us some insight on that?
Sure, I do it we do it in a couple of major ways. Number one is, for example, our fastest growing franchise is Zoom and Grooming, and it's mobile dog grooming. So we, in every new franchise, we're adding about 10 new franchisees a month, and we're already we're not 3 years old, and we're in 75 cities in 25 states. What we ask people to do is call around and ask how long it's going to take your dog to be groomed. So if you're in Minneapolis, you call all the groomers and ask how long it's going to take to make an appointment. And I've been very happily surprised over the last 3 years that everywhere, it's at least 3 weeks. So there's there's a demand, right? So one of the things you look for is whether there's a demand, and then that's on a consumer level. And then you look for competitors. So you look in online. I mean, you used to look in the phone book, but now in late in the
Even the phone
21st
books
century,
online.
right? Yeah. Now you look online and see who your competitors are, and especially if you're in, believe it or not, if you're in mobile grooming, the storefronts are not your competitors, because there are certain consumers that almost always want to go and take and drop their pet off to be groomed. And then there's certain consumers that never want to go in. They want someone to come to their house. And so you need to research your competitors and see what you can find about how they're doing and how they're received. Look online, look at their reviews, get as much information as you can on your competitors. So I do it we ask our potential franchisees to do it at two levels. Find out all the competitors in your market in mobile grooming, and then call them and see how long it takes to make an appointment.
Perfect. Now I like how you wrap that up so nicely. And it's true. You just have to just do it's simple research, and there's so much out there now that are at fingertips. So yeah, there's plenty of places to find it. You just have to find the credible sources as well. That's my tip there. So brilliant. So the next question that comes to mind is, you had mentioned earlier about knowing what kind of business you want, like your niche and so forth. So based on, once they know what type of business model they want to own, I think we should ask if this one is, how do they differentiate themselves from their competitors? How do they make them unique?
That's incredibly important. If David had gone onto the field with the same sword and shield and armor as Goliath, there wouldn't be a David and Goliath story. He'd be the 242nd guy killed by Goliath.
Wow.
So
Okay.
he had to have his different weapons. And if you're just going to replicate and copy what everyone else is doing, then you can't possibly succeed. So what is your niche, right? And I can give you some of the examples that, or at least one example we've done in the tax business. For example, when I started Jackson Hewitt, we were computerized, and H&R Block was all pen and paper.
Oh,
And
wow.
so our niche was computers. We had computerization several years before H&R Block did. I built the first tax software for an Apple computer back in 1981, and Block poo-pooed it. They said, people ask us why we don't computerize. We say, why should we? It doesn't save us any money. Customers don't care. We're never going to computerize. So that's how lack of vision they had in 1983.
Wow.
So we had a several year competitive advantage. But then when I started Liberty Tax to compete against Jackson Hewitt and H&R Block, by then everyone was computerized. It was 2000. And I was competing against my own name and my own software and my own system. And so now what I did is invented guerrilla marketing and income tax preparation. We dressed up costume characters wearing a Lady Liberty costume and had them out on the street from January 1st to April 15th. And here in Virginia Beach, there are 550,000 people, and there's about one business for every 10 people. So there's 55,000 businesses. They're all trying to get your attention. I mean, there's only a couple hundred in tax, but 55,000 businesses are trying to get your attention. But Marie, guess how many had a costume character out on the street dancing? One. Exactly. So not only were we better than our competitors, we were better than anyone in any industry. So if you don't know your differentiator, then you're staring failure in the face. And it can't be something just like we offer best service. Because if you called the CEO of H&R Block, who would he say offered the best service? He'd say H&R Block. If you called the CEO of Jackson Hewitt, offered the best service, he'd say Jackson Hewitt. Called Liberty, who offered the best service? Liberty. They're all lying, but they may even think to the lie. They maybe even believe that they offer the best service, but they're not. But our ATAX is growing faster than all of them. So, and just saying you having the best service is nonsense. What do you do better? We have in our ATAX division, we have 18 things we do better than H&R Block, 18 objective things. And one is we have a costume character. At ATAX, it's an eagle. And there's an eagle out on the street and getting attention. And H&R Block doesn't do that.
Gotcha. Well, that's amazing that you have, and the eagles are good too. So they're strong characters. And it's always good to have sort of representative showing your brand as well. So that makes sense. So brilliant. I love it. So the next question I have comes up to mind, and I know it seems like it's sort of falls into line a little bit, but I don't know about you, but I'm sure you probably preach to the people you work with about having a financial plan in place, considering the industry you're in. So, including like a budget for startup costs, ongoing expenses, and contingency funds for unexpected challenges. So, what is it that you would recommend for someone to put a sound financial plan in place that I just laid out for you?
Well,
I know it's a loaded question.
it's absolutely essential, and yet 90% of Americans don't do it. So, and what we do is we require when a new franchisee comes in for training, we require them to give us their 5-year goals. The plan starts with your goal, right? If you want to be worth $200,000 5 years from now. That's different if you want to be worth 2 million. You're going to have a different path. And so once we agree, the financial plan is essential, but you can't have a plan without knowing where you're going, right? So it starts with setting a goal. So we set goals for all of our franchisees, and we target it 5 years out. And then we say, okay, if this is where you're going to be in 5 years, this is where you need to be in 3 years. And if that's where you're going to be in 3 years, this is what you need to do in the next year. So we have a 1 year plan that takes most time, and a 3 year plan that takes the second most time, and a 5 year plan, just a wish list kind of. Not and we believe that if you're going to be extraordinary, those that want to be extraordinary, not everyone wants to be extraordinary. Some people are happy with average or above average. But if you want to be extraordinary, you have to have big, hairy, audacious goals.
I agree. One of the things that I've done other business models outside of my business academy, and one of the first things they said is start with the end goal in mind and then work your way backwards. Like you said, start with a big, audacious goal and a scary one, and then work your way down. And that really, when you break it down into that small incremental spots, you work your plan sort of backwards in a sense. Would that be pretty much a good way of summarizing it?
Exactly.
Good deal. Okay, so we're on the same page. So we're obviously seeing a lot of the commonalities in that, and these are just common business principles, in my opinion. So these are awesome. So the next question that comes to mind is, are you prepared to take on the responsibility of managing all aspects of your business, including sales, operation, and financial management? And could you give us some insights on that, please?
Yeah, as a CEO, again, it comes down to the buck stops here. If it is to be, it is up to me. Now, I don't. Someone asked me recently, and I mentor, with bringing in 5,200 franchisees, I mentor thousands of people, and I've helped create 1,000 millionaires. So someone recently said to me, one of my ex-franchisees, who started another business, said, he said, how did you build the culture that you built at Liberty Tax? Because he was with me at Liberty Tax. And then how did you maintain it? So I do a mentoring session every week for an hour. And I spend an hour with him and the group on, this is how you build culture, and this is how you maintain culture. And but he also asked me, who should I hire? Who's my first hire? I'm CEO. Who should I hire? CFO, CMO, director of sales? Who should I first hire? And I said, what you need to do is look at your own skill set. And Peter Drucker, fabulous business author, said, people with great strengths have great weaknesses. So if your skill is sales and you're weak in accounting, you hire an accountant. If you're skilled in accounting and weak in sales, you hire sales. But without customers, there is no reason for a business. You don't need a board of directors or investors or CEOs or employees if you don't have customers. So everything starts with customers and then continues with exceeding customers' expectations. So yeah, if your skill set as CEO is sales, then go for it. But if it's not, then that's got to be your first hire.
Right. Yeah, I tried, for example, learning. Someone once told me that when I was getting started as a virtual assistant back in 2017, 2018, I was getting rolling. And one of the advice I got was try to do all the roles first yourself. So one, you can see what your team is actually experiencing and get and then two, find out what you're good at and not good at and outsource the parts that you're not good at. So very much similar to what you were saying. And I learned very quickly after several software systems and trying my best at doing video editing. Video editing is not my skill set. So that was what I ended up outsourcing. And there were a few others I've outsourced over, as needed periodically, project by project basis. But so I also have some that are just regular members of my team as well. And I'm getting ready to bring on another person, which is awesome, exciting to handle some things that I don't want to have to handle anymore. So there you go. The point is, you can't build you can't raise a kid by yourself. I mean, you can, but it does take a village to raise a kid. And it takes a team to build a business. And I really believe in that too. So thank you for sharing that. You mentioned in this last segment that you wanted to focus on building a culture. I noticed you mentioned both team and customer culture. So let's start with the customer culture since we're more of starting up businesses. And then when is a good time to start building a team culture? And maybe we can lead into that a little bit if you wouldn't mind expanding on that.
Yeah, I learned a valuable lesson from another business author, Stan Phelps. And Stan, in one of his books, said, no one arrives at a meeting exactly on time. So if you're scheduled for 6 p.m., some people come in early, some people come in late. Almost no one comes in at exactly 6. So he said, in the same manner, you almost never meet a customer's expectations exactly. You either exceed them or fail to meet them. So my definition of culture is the how many customers were exceeding their expectation. And our goal is to always increase that percentage. No, you can never get to 100. You can never get to 100% of exceeding people's expectation. But our goal is to have a higher and higher of percentage of customers that we exceed customer expectation. So that's our culture related to customers. Related to employees, it starts from the first hire. Tom Watson Sr., one of the founders of IBM, said, give me 100 people with great engineering skills, or give me 100 people with great attitude. He said, I'll take the people. He says, I'll take the people with great attitude. You can teach engineering, you can't teach attitude. And so I learned the lesson only 30 years ago, that half my business career, that you hire for attitude, not for skill. Don't look for someone who's the most skillful at the job you're looking for. Look for someone who has the best attitude, and then teach them. And so culture starts with creating, or with hiring, and then creating a culture of no nonsense. We're here. We're a team and a family. I mean, a lot of people think my companies are like family feeling. I like to think of it as our company is a quasi half family, half team, right? It's not all family, it's not all team. It's sort of a mixture of family and team. And that creates a winning culture.
I'm in the same mindset. A lot of my team members feel like they fit in and become more like family, because we not just, most of us are long distance, so we don't really get to see each other in person. But what we do is we connect on Zooms and other places of, social media, etc., email. We have a good communication system. And after a while, we really bond together because of the way we care, and we care about each other not just as a team members, but as pretty much like a family member as well. So anyone who comes on board on my team also is considered part of our family, our business family, put it that way. And they get to see my kid, my son, my husband, my cat that comes floating in and out of the rooms, So they're going to be bound at some point to see one of them. And so I figured, if you're going to be part of my business team, you must be part of my family too. So they get included in a lot of different discussions and things that get, come up in my life. So, and it's a good bonding experience when you can bring your team members and feel like you're okay to have them inside your house, even on a Zoom call. Just so you know. So they're going to be sharing your life and business, and they need to have. It's good to have that understanding. So I totally agree with that. So didn't mean to get long-winded there, but I liked how you defined all that for us because it's really important to build that team and that customer cultures. And if you, and those are the lifeblood of your business. Both of them are, and crucial. So my next quick question is, what is the main takeaway or key point that you want our audience to take away from today's topic that they can apply now? One quick tip.
I think that the key to success in life in every way is that you can't receive more than you can't give more than you receive. The more you give, the more you receive. And didn't again. I learned that a little later, the more I started to give, and it wasn't ever from the person I gave it to. Something good happened to me. If I did something good, some other good event happened in my life. So Denzel Washington, famous actor, he did a commencement speech recently, and he said, he surprised me for a second. He said that, in conclusion, the most selfish people in the world are people that give to others and help others. And I said, what? And he said, then he went on to say, because they're so happy. Those are the happiest people in the world. If you want to be happy, help others.
I agree. It all falls in with the servant's heart. Your leaders are the best servers. So if you're going to lead a business, you need to have the heart for leading others, whether it's working with customers, clients, or even team members, volunteers, whatever it is that you're working with. Even collaborations, partnerships, whatever it is that you're working with. Do it in a servant's heart and not always expecting something in return. Because sometimes, like you said, it comes back and pays you forward in other amazing ways. And I agree. I've had times where I didn't always feel like I was appreciated by the person I helped with, and they didn't always reciprocate. But then some people weren't in that skill set where they could, but it got paid forward by another person or another situation. So it always works out in the end. So I love the way you phrase that. So last question, and then we'll start writing down our wonderful podcast, which I'm so glad you were here today. We learned a lot from you. Hope you get to come back. Love to have you back, actually. So if you could do in a short 1 or 2 sentence descriptions your offer for today, and then provide a link, I would be happy to have you share that with our audience today.
Sure. I have a best-selling book called I Compete that if you go onto my website, loyaltybrands.com, you can sign up and we'll send you one in the mail for free. It's called I Compete at loyaltybrands.com.
Let me put that down in my notes so I don't forget to go look up the link. And you said I Compete, right?
Correct.
Oh, that was not the right place. Sorry. Book, I Compete. And then on website. That way I can know what to grab for later. Perfect. Thank you for that. So, oh my gosh, you gave us such a wonderful wealth of information. So I totally appreciate you being here. So I'm going to go ahead and share a couple of quick resources for our audience, and then we'll close out the show. So first, let me ask the audience, if you want to have a supportive community mixed with teachers, professionals, and parents, and with learning disabled children of all ages, even coaches and several other different types of people are in that community, I really encourage you to join our private Facebook group for Bubble Bears Books membership. It's based on my book called The Bubble Bears Special Problem, and the book series called Bubble Bears Books. I have basically just go up and look on Facebook at Bubble Bears Books membership. The links will be in the YouTube description and any of our social media posts. The other thing I also recommend is there's another group that's not, and I don't know, I sometimes forget to share this, but it's called the Free Networking Group. It's called, and the name of the group is Trailblazers Community mastermind community. So Trailblazers Mastermind Community, it is a free networking group, and I encourage anyone who is a freelancer, a coach, or anything in the online world industry, you are more than welcome to join and network in our group. So please understand that that is a free resource for everybody. The last question I have for everybody is, ever wonder what it'd be like to see the world through a dyslexic child's eyes? I don't know if anyone who's had experience with dyslexia or any other kind of learning difficulty, but I am the author of Bubble Bear's Special Problem, and the book destigmatizes learning difficulties or disabilities in order to help you provide better understandings for their learning processes. We all learn differently, right? We all process information differently. But when people with dyslexia and other learning difficulties, there's actually been proven facts that they actually have their brains are different and how they process information actually shows it. So that's pretty cool information I learned years ago. But basically, this book, it helps children to overcome the fear of learning disabilities so they can contribute their talents by turning their awareness of how children should be treated in the classroom and also out of the classroom. Because in order to thrive, you need to be valued and you need to have a good understanding of what someone is going through and also be able to have some empathy on that as well. So please check out our book. It's on Amazon. It's also on Barnes & Noble, and both Walmart and Target have picked it up. So go on their websites and check it out. Whichever place you feel most comfortable purchasing it is fine. It is a quick, easy read. It's an easy reader. And I'm finding adults are enjoying it just as much as the children are. So it's really a book for all ages. So love to hear your comments. And guess what? I'm excited to share something, John, with you. You're getting to find out too. But my second book is in the process of being illustrated. So when it's illustrated, it goes to the publishers. So I'm hoping to have the next one done before October. So if not sooner. So I'm excited about book 2. So anyway, it will be a series. I'm having 12 books in mind. So that'll be that's one of my big audacious goals. So anyway, a book a month. That's what it is, the goal. So basically, it's hard to believe we're at the end of the show. So it's been a real honor to be able to have share valuable tips and help our audience grow themselves on the Choosing Acceptance podcast. Our today's topic was on, are you ready to be self-employed? And I want to really thank our wonderful guest, John Hewitt, for helping us get some great insight on defining whether or not you're ready to be employed. Please listen to this and kind of give yourself a little self-assessment. This is going to be a good one for people who are just thinking about getting started. This will give you good things, tips on how to plan for that. I also would love for you to encourage to take advantage of all of our offers. We'll be having them up on our YouTube channels and social media pages and in our newsletters. So please join us next week or for our next episode, and like, share, and subscribe, and find us on our YouTube channel and Facebook pages. We do have a Choosing Acceptance Facebook page as well, where I'll be working on updating those podcast episodes for you as well. So we stream every week on YouTube, and please follow us all over there. We'd love to see what your comments are as well. And if you have a topic, we'd love to hear it from you as well. So we are now, this is Marie Mason and John Hewitt, and we are saying goodbye from the Choosing Acceptance podcast until next time. So here's a word from our sponsor, and have a great week, everyone. That ends this week's show. Bye now. My name is Marie Mason. I am the author of Bubble Bear Special Problem. And this book destigmatizes learning disabilities in order to provide a better understanding of their learning process. It helps children to overcome their fear of learning disabilities so that they can contribute their talents by bringing awareness to how children should be treated in and out of the classroom. If you would like more to learn about this book, then go to Amazon.com and check out Bubble Bear Special Problem by Marie Mason.